The discovery raised more questions than it answered. Did investigators overlook vital clues in those first frantic weeks? Could the woods where Summer was ultimately found have been searched before, and missed? Some whisper it was a local crime, one buried not just in the forest, but in silence. Others wonder if witnesses were too afraid to speak, or too entangled to risk the truth coming out. Online speculation fuels countless theories. Family involvement? Dawn and Candace Wells were scrutinized from the beginning, their every gesture dissected by body language experts and internet sleuths. Community cover-up? Was someone nearby hiding a secret too dangerous to reveal? Law enforcement pressure? Did investigators suppress leads to avoid panic, or to protect reputations? In the absence of clear answers, theories grow wild. But one truth remains: a 5-year-old child disappeared from her own home, and 4 years later, she was found less than 2 miles away. How does that happen without someone knowing more? Behind the headlines are the people who carried this case. A detective, fictionalized but representative, speaks in quiet regret. Could we have done more? Could we have pushed harder when the trail felt cold? For Summer's family, the discovery was both relief and devastation. Relief that she had finally been found. Horror at what that discovery meant. Dawn Wells, cleared but haunted, remains under the shadow of suspicion in the public eye. Candace, broken and withdrawn, clings to fading hope for justice. For them, the nightmare has no end. For the community, the silence is a wound that still bleeds. And now, this is where you come in. What do you believe happened to Summer? Who might have known more? And why did it take 4 years to uncover the truth? Your voice matters. Your thoughts matter. Share them, but share them respectfully. If you know something, anything, credible tips should still be sent to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. Silence has already cost too much. This may be a chapter's end, but not the book. Summer's story is more than a case file, it's a reminder. A reminder of innocence stolen, of silence that carries weight, and of the unbreakable drive for justice. And so the quest continues, online, in Hawkins County, and in every heart still asking the question, what really happened to Summer Wells? Because until the truth is uncovered, there will be no peace. Not for her family. Not for her community. And not for us. If you've stayed with us this long, thank you. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next story we uncover. At Dark Truths, we're building more than a channel, we're building pressure. Pressure for accountability. Pressure for answers. Together, we can keep the light shining on the stories that others want hidden. Together, we can uncover more. Dark Truths. Experts noted the contrast between Summer's vulnerability as a child and the cold calculation of the setting. A young girl, taken from her home in broad daylight, left in a secluded place known only to someone who understood the terrain. It suggested more than accident. It suggested intent. When news broke, Hawkins County froze. For years, residents had lived with unease, suspicion, and unanswered questions. Now grief spilled into the open. Candlelight vigils sprang up along rural roadsides. Hand-drawn posters, once faded, were replaced with new ones, now framed not with hope, but with mourning. Social media erupted. Some voices clung to hope that forensic testing would finally expose the truth. Others turned to anger, accusing law enforcement of failure, accusing neighbors of complicity, accusing the Wells family themselves. The discovery didn't just bring answers, it brought fractures. Every theory gained fuel, every rumor found new wings. The recovery of Summer's remains changed the case forever. No longer a disappearance, no longer a mystery of where, only how and why remained. Someone had left her there. Someone had kept a secret for 4 long years. And now, someone had to answer for it. The search may have uncovered Summer, but now, someone needs to answer how and why. And the answers may lie closer than anyone expected. Summer Wells' case has reached a terrible turning point. Her remains, found in the woods near her home, confirmed what so many feared. But this is not closure. The Amber Alert is still active. The investigation remains open. And officially, no final answers have been given. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation continues to urge the public to come forward with credible tips. Every small detail matters, every memory, every unexplained moment from June 15, 2021, might still carry weight. For years later, the search for truth is far from over. Experts noted the contrast between Summer's vulnerability as a child and the cold calculation of the setting. A young girl, taken from her home in broad daylight, left in a secluded place known only to someone who understood the terrain. It suggested more than accident. It suggested intent. When news broke, Hawkins County froze. For years, residents had lived with unease, suspicion, and unanswered questions. Now grief spilled into the open. Candlelight vigils sprang up along rural roadsides. Hand-drawn posters, once faded, were replaced with new ones, now framed not with hope, but with mourning. Social media erupted. Some voices clung to hope that forensic testing would finally expose the truth. Others turned to anger, accusing law enforcement of failure, accusing neighbors of complicity, accusing the Wells family themselves. The discovery didn't just bring answers, it brought fractures. Every theory gained fuel, every rumor found new wings. The recovery of Summers' remains changed the case forever. No longer a disappearance, no longer a mystery of where, only how and why remained. Someone had left her there. Someone had kept a secret for 4 long years. And now, someone had to answer for it. The search may have uncovered Summer, but now, someone needs to answer how and why. And the answers may lie closer than anyone expected. Summer Wells' case has reached a terrible turning point. Her remains, found in the woods near her home, confirmed what so many feared. But this is not closure. The Amber Alert is still active. The investigation remains open. And officially, no final answers have been given. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation continues to urge the public to come forward with credible tips. Every small detail matters, every memory, every unexplained moment from June 15, 2021, might still carry weight. For years later, the search for truth is far from over. Was unforgiving, thorned underbrush, broken branches, a silence that seemed to press down on every step. Flashlights cut through the trees. Search teams moved carefully, marking disturbed soil, scattered personal items, fragments of clothing long weathered by rain and sun. Each step wasn't just an investigation, it was a reckoning. And then came the confirmation. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation halted all routine operations. Forensic teams flooded the site. Crime scene tape wound around trees. What had once been a missing persons case now carried the unmistakable weight of a homicide investigation. For 4 years, hope had been kept alive by silence. That silence was shattered by the discovery in the woods. The TBI released a careful, measured statement. The search was ongoing. Remains were undergoing forensic testing. And while the investigation had entered a new phase, no conclusions would be made until results returned. Behind the scenes, teams retraced every pathway into the woods, cross-checking maps with search logs from 2021. Cold tips were pulled back out, re-examined in light of the discovery. Witnesses, neighbors, passers-by, even family members, were once again called in for questioning. Something about the scene had changed everything. It wasn't just that Summer had been found. It was how. Criminologists examining the scene emphasized one haunting detail: the placement of the remains. Hidden in rough, wooded terrain, far from any road, yet close enough to the Wells property to suggest familiarity. This wasn't random. The concealment bore the hallmarks of deliberation, an act of control, a choice to keep Summer's fate both hidden and close. From the very beginning, public attention fixated on Dawn and Candace Wells, Summer's parents. Every interview, every word, every gesture was dissected. Body language expert Scott Rouse noted an odd detachment in the couple, emotional responses that seemed to fade as time went on. Was it grief wearing them down, or something more unsettling? Some analysts pointed to Candace's evasive answers and Dawn's shifting tone, while others concluded Dawn showed no deceptive behavior under interrogation. In truth, nothing ever stuck, no evidence, no charges, only suspicion. Was this a case of grief and shock being mistaken for guilt? Or were we witnessing a family holding back more than they let on? As law enforcement pressed on, the community around Hawkins County grew restless. Residents were baffled, anxious, and increasingly distrustful of official updates. Meanwhile, online forums and social media turned the Wells case into a digital wildfire. Thousands of armchair detectives built theories. An accident, covered up. An abduction, botched or planned. Even family involvement, with motives ranging from negligence to darker possibilities. Some online theories provided insight, helping investigators filter through noise. But many more spread confusion, accusations, and outright misinformation, fueling division in a community already stretched thin. It was chaos, rumors drowning facts, speculation replacing evidence. And still, Summer's trail remained cold. Despite thousands of tips, endless hours of manpower, and the eyes of the entire nation on Hawkins County, no trace of Summer was ever found. Not until the forest revealed what investigators had searched for years. The forest finally spoke. For years after Summer Wells vanished, investigators found themselves deep in a remote wooded stretch less than 2 miles from her home. The terrain. Welcome back to Dark Truths, the channel where we uncover the stories that others try to bury. If you want to keep these investigations alive, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss. Know what happened to Summer? No. Do you know who took Summer? No. Those heartbreaking words, filled with grief and exhaustion, still echo across Hawkins County, Tennessee. A family's unanswered questions. A community's fading hope. And a little girl's name, Summer Wells, burned into memory. On June 15, 2021, 5-year-old Summer Wells vanished from her home on Ben Hill Road. Within hours, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation launched one of the largest search operations in state history. Helicopters combed the ridges. Drones swept the treetops. Divers searched streams and ponds. Search dogs followed faint trails that ended abruptly at the edge of the forest. But despite thousands of man-hours, no answers ever came. 4 years passed. The posters curled and faded. Candlelight vigils grew smaller. Whispers turned into rumors, then conspiracies. And then, suddenly, a break. The TBI confirmed human remains were found, in a remote wooded area just over a mile from her home. Picture it, investigators pushing through thick underbrush by flashlight, dogs pulling handlers toward a hidden spot in the soil, the low hum of drones overhead as silence fell on the recovery site. At last, Summer's disappearance had a focal point, but what lay buried was more haunting than anyone dared imagine. The search for Summer Wells wasn't just big, it was one of the most exhaustive missing child cases Tennessee has ever seen. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, working with local law enforcement, federal agents, and even the FBI, mounted an all-out operation. Ground crews scoured ridges and valleys. K-9 units followed fading scents through thick brush. Dive teams dragged ponds. Drones mapped aerial views. Helicopters circled endlessly overhead. For weeks, the woods of Hawkins County echoed with shouts, search calls, and the mechanical thrum of engines. The numbers were staggering, over 170 interviews conducted, thousands of tips collected, countless man-hours, and entire digital archives seized for analysis. An Amber Alert remains active to this day, a rare reminder of just how serious and unresolved this case has become. Yet, with every passing week, frustration grew. Leads fizzled out. Tips led nowhere. The forest held its secrets.